All right, Shalom. As always, I'm thankful and I'm grateful to be able to come out here once again to preach and to prophesy unto my people, being you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. According to the Holy Bible, you are the biblical Israelites. This is based upon your father's genetic line. It's about agnet relations in which determines your lineage. This is not a so-called black or white thing. Mingling those two shades together, you get gray. There are no gray people walking the earth. There are no gray areas in this ministry whatsoever. Neither am I teaching colorism, all right? And seeing that our people look like all nations under the sun, our people look like a speckled bird, I just come out here to present the message. If it's in you to believe it or not believe it, well, that's not my job to decipher, all right? So, before I go any further, I have to give all praises unto our power, the power of Israel, not the power of any other nation. And of course, I don't come in my own name, so what is his name? Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Barakakodash. Peace, blessings, and much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be or what they may look like. Pushing out this purified truth to the rest of the church who believe as well. You men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. And the water to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. All right, so I've been pondering on the kingdom of heaven, pondering on the reward to come. You know, things like that really get me pumped up. It keeps me motivated. All right, so I'm gonna go on ahead and jump into the book of Psalms, chapter 104 and verse 1. Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul. O Lord Yahweh, my power, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. So he stretches out the heavens like a curtain. When you look at all these different planets, all these different galaxies that Esau tries to talk about, really things that we cannot comprehend right now. All right, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is constantly in the heavens building, adding on, creating additions to have it ready for us when the kingdom of heaven is established. Okay, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment. Because if you were to see the Heavenly Father or his only begotten Son, you would see that they are illuminated. They would have a very brightness, a very bright countenance about them, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. And just like a curtain, you can expand it. The heavens are ever expanding. Yahweh Shai is in the heavens right now, preparing our kingdom for us. Let's touch on John chapter 14 and verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. Now, being in this captivity, seeing that we are not in our rest currently, it is easy to get troubled, but don't be troubled. Ponder on the things ahead. Ponder on our reward. Okay, don't let this life trouble you. Don't be, doubtful or perplexed in your mind because of our situation being under Esau. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. So if you believe in Yahweh, you would have to believe in Yahweh Shai. In my Father's house are many mansions, and that's speaking of the heavens. In the heavens, there are many mansions. There are going to be many dwelling places for the elect of Israel, because the Heavenly Father, through his only begotten Son, has stretched out the heavens like a curtain. So Yahweh Shai is in the heavens constantly creating things that we've never heard of, never thought of, having things prepared for his men, for his sheep. In my Father's house are many mansions, going into various planets. various galaxies. We will have access to all these things. I did a video years ago and I called it King's Dominion. All right. Now, since brothers like to always brag and boast and say what they're the first at, I believe I was the first, just being vain right now, just being vain. I believe I was the first to use that terminology, King's Dominion. Okay? But I did a video years ago going into these different planets and how we'll have access to them. And in this video, it was going into, the various types of planets. Like, for example, one planet, it was made out of 70% diamonds, but this planet was so much bigger than the sun on top of that, and it was primarily just diamonds. So in the kingdom of heaven, who's going to have access to that? The elect, the elect of Israel, the elect of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. There was a planet where, just like here, how gravity goes downward, on this planet, gravity shifts sideways. So everything falls sideways. And this planet is full of glass, according to Esau. Okay? Whether or not these planets are true, nothing is impossible anyway to the Lord. But on this planet, Esau said that everything, in terms of how the gravitational pull is, it shifts sideways. And it's made of a whole bunch of glass. So there's a lot of glass shards that are just constantly shooting sideways. So if you were a person that would inhabit that planet right now, you would get chopped in pieces instantly. But we'll be able to inhabit such a planet where the gravity is shifting sideways and you have glass constantly flowing by like bullets. Constantly. Okay? A tremendous amount of glass just constantly moving. You have planets that's all water, but we'll be able to inhabit that. We'll be able to we'll be able to build our kingdom over water. We'll be able to walk on water. We'll be able to build a palace over water. We'll be able to make a palace out of solid water. Okay? We'll be able to walk on transparent bridges made out of solid water. We are going to be on a whole different level. But in the Father's house are many mansions. And these different dwelling places in the outer atmosphere, outside of earth, are only promised to the Israelites. Okay? In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. So Yahweh Shai is in the heavens preparing a place for us. That's why the heavens are constantly expanding, because Yahweh Shai is still working. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also, and whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. So when Yahweh Shai returns, we're looking forward to being glorified right along with him, and to be able to enjoy the glorious kingdom that he has set up for his men that believe in him. Okay? Because in the Father's house are many mansions. Now let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 15. But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. So our care is with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All of our burdens, all of our anxiety, we place it on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Verse 16. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom, and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. So we're looking forward to receiving a glorious kingdom. And in our kingdom, we are going to have all of our heart's desires, and everything is going to be done in righteousness. I remember I had a vision, and in my vision it was nighttime, and it looked like a beautiful city. You saw lights. It almost looked like a metropolis, just like how you would see in cities today. But in the midst of the cities, you had like some mountains in the background. And then you had bridges that were made out of different precious stones, different precious emeralds. And these same bridges that look like rainbows, they lit up. So imagine it being dark outside and you're seeing all these different bridges. You know, everywhere that your eyes can see, you just see all these various bridges made of, you know, precious emeralds in the form of rainbows. But they're lighting up, they glow in the dark. Okay? That's what I saw in my vision, was a whole bunch of rainbow bridges made out of precious emeralds that glowed in the dark. Okay? Well, imagine in our kingdom being surrounded by precious stones. Stones that even glow in the dark. Stones that shine even at nighttime. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hand. And we're looking forward to being crowned by Yahushua himself. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. So the right hand, being Yahushua, is going to cover us when he comes and delivers us, when he flies above us and takes us up. All right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 13. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious. So the place of the Lord's sanctuary being our homeland, Jerusalem, okay, and the place of his feet being earth. So planet Earth is going to be beautified, starting with Jerusalem. But America is going to be totally wiped off the face of the map. This society will never thrive again. No man or woman, no son or no daughter from any nation will ever inhabit America again after it's destroyed. But the rest of the world is going to be beautified, starting with our homeland, Jerusalem. All right? And we're going to have a glorious kingdom. We're going to have all of our heart's desires. Okay, when I mean all of our heart's desires, of course in righteousness, but we're literally going to have all of our heart's desires. If we can think it, we can have it. Okay? And we're going to be wired to be righteous, so we're not going to be doing nothing wicked. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree and the pine tree and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. Okay, and the place of his feet being earth is going to be glorified, showing you that the kingdom of heaven is going to take place here on earth. Now, when you go to Acts chapter 7, Acts chapter 7 and verse 49, heaven is my throne and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord? Or what is the place of my rest? So it says, earth is my footstool. So the place of his feet are going to be beautified, being the earth. Okay? So going back to Isaiah 16 and 13, the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. Speaking of earth, I just read it to you. Okay? Earth is the place of his feet that's going to be glorified. And that sanctuary being Jerusalem. Jerusalem is going to be headquarters over all the earth. All right? Revelations chapter 21. Revelations chapter 21 and verse 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from the power. And it's spiritual because one of the nicknames for Topeka is Top City. And America is likened unto a great mountain. Okay? And Topeka being in the middle of America, seeing that Kansas is the middle of the 50 states, Topeka, or Top City, is like the peak of the mountain. But John, he's seeing a vision of the Israelites coming down upon a high mountain. They were called a city, okay? And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city being the Israelites, the holy Jerusalem descending out of heaven from the power, having the glory of the power, and her light was like unto a stone, more precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Okay, so we're going to be decked out in our kingdom. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the 12 gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, showing you the kingdom of heaven is only for the Israelites, not you other nations. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Now, for you brothers who are studied and learned, I have a serious question that I ponder on. Seeing that in our kingdom, okay, the name of the 12 apostles are going to be, you know, on the wall in the foundation. Hold on, let me read it. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So the 12 apostles of the Lamb are going to be written in the wall. So my question, in the kingdom, are we going to call the name King David or Peter? Are we going to know him by Peter or David in the kingdom, seeing that the names of the 12 apostles are going to be written on the walls and in the foundations? On the wall in the foundations, excuse me. And on the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So are we going to call him David or Peter in the kingdom, seeing that those of us with the understanding know they're the same spirit? Okay? And he talked with me, and he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of man, going off of the elect. Okay? According to the measure of man, that is of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper. And the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Okay, so imagine walking on streets of gold. Imagine seeing gold that looked like honey. It looks like you're walking on honey. It looks like you're laying your eyes on solid honey, man. Okay? And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. And this is speaking of our kingdom. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, and my birthstone is actually a sapphire stone. And I personally believe in the spirit, when we get delivered, us standing on the sea of glass mingled with fire. Now some brothers might say it's us standing above the firmament, which I don't knock that, but the scriptures also say that the heavens on high are going to be open. But I believe personally that the sea of glass is going to be us on a chariot standing on top of sapphire floors. And these sapphire floors are going to be transparent to where you'll be able to see the nuclear destruction, to where it's going to look like glass mingled with fire. Okay? But I'm getting off topic. I may have to go into that before I close up my lesson. And one thing about brothers will just rebuke you and call you evil and won't even hear you out. The scriptures tell us to listen then rebuke. But a lot of you, because you're so much in this robotic mentality, you know, you're a bunch of parrots who just, you know, you hear certain people say something and then you repeat it, and then when you hear anything contrary to that, you automatically come down upon somebody with a sword to their neck, not even knowing that if you were to actually listen, your understanding could grow more. Because being in this ministry, our understanding is increasing, and the Lord is allowing certain men to see things within this ministry, and they say it to other men, and we grow. Okay, we don't just stay stagnant. All right, but anyway, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth a topaz, and tenth a chrysoprasus, the 11th a jacinth, the 12th an amethyst, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of the one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. So imagine walking on transparent glass made out of gold. To me, that would look like honey or something, some shiny honey. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord power almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, not saying that the sun and moon are going to be done away with, to shine in it, for the glory of the power did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. It's just metaphorically speaking that in our kingdom, we're not going to have want for anything except for the Heavenly Father and His Son. Okay, everything is going to be, basically at our command. Everything is going to be how we want it. Everything's going to be perfect. Okay? And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. Speaking of the Israelites, because we've been scattered everywhere. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. Speaking of the heathen. And the gates of it shall not be shut all day, be shut at all by day, for there shall be no light there. Why do I keep slipping up on these words, man? And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. So all the heathen are going to constantly be giving us gifts, man. Okay? And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie. You heathen will not be in our kingdom. You'll be in the kingdom, but you won't be in the kingdom. Okay? So when it comes to the holy city Jerusalem, the heathen are not going to step foot there. Our slaves are not going to be in Jerusalem. Okay? But they which are written in the Lamb's book of life, and that's the elect. Okay? So in the kingdom, our kingdom is going to be decked out. We're going to have all of our heart's desires. It's not going to be like what you're seeing now. All this concrete, everything is rocky here, man. It stinks. A bunch of trash, a bunch of used up women, a bunch of adulterous men. All right? Let's go to Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. And this is speaking of Judah and Ephraim, also known as the southern and the northern kingdom, joining forces again. Because the brotherhood of Judah and Ephraim has been broken for quite a while. But in our kingdom, which is soon to be established, we're going to be joined forces again, forever and ever. We're going to be united again. Okay? And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. So all the 12 tribes are going to be united again. And one king shall be to them all. Speaking of King David, under Yahweh Shai, of course. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. So we're not going to be a divided kingdom in our kingdom. But right now we are. But in the world to come, we're going to be a united nation again. We're going to have life eternal. We're going to actually live, not just exist like we're doing here. but we're going to have an abundance of life, an abundance of our heart's desires. This is the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 10. The thief, speaking of Esau, Edom, cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So we're going to have life abundantly. It's going to exceed our expectations. We're not going to want for anything. That's why in the kingdom of heaven, we're not going to rely on the sun and moon for light. They'll still be there, but we're going to be fully connected with the power of heaven and earth, being Yahweh and his only begotten son being his firstborn. Okay? The thief cometh not before to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. We want that. We want to live exceedingly. We want life that's abundant, that doesn't end. We get tired of witnessing all these different heartaches, these different shortcomings, and all the sorrow and grief that we might feel from time to time. Okay? Certain people you love, they might have passed away. Now they're just a damn memory, man. That's sad, man. You get tired of that stuff. But in our kingdom, all the sorrow is going to be left behind. No more of a woman committing adultery against you. No more of hearing that bad phone call that someone you loved passed away or got murdered. Okay? All that's going to be a thing of the past. But right now, we're still in captivity. Micah chapter 2 and 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. So we are not in our rest. This society is polluted. But when Yahweh Shai returns, he's going to give us life more abundantly. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. And that's going into a very sick and painful destruction. So to put your faith in this society, that's like you getting with a woman that's full of diseases. She got herpes, gonorrhea, chlamydia, HIV. She's the biggest hoe that you can think of. But you say, you know what? I'm going to treat her like the best woman on earth, man. Just for her to destroy you. That's pretty stupid. Because America is definitely likened unto a whore. But seeing that we're not in our rest right now, we come out here and we do this to enter into our rest. And we know that rest is coming very soon. Now, when you go to Matthew chapter 11 and verse 28, as it is written, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So we have to come and get our rest through Yahweh Shai. Our rest doesn't come from putting our faith here in Babylon. Our rest doesn't come from putting our faith in money, putting our faith in a bunch of used up women. Our labor that we're doing is not in vain. And we're doing this in hopes to enter into that rest. Okay? This work will pay off. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, because we're full of burdens. We go through a lot, okay? And I will give you rest. So our rest is going to come through Yahweh Shai. But right now, we are not in our rest. We are laboring to enter into our rest. Now let's go to Hebrews chapter 4. In verse 11. Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. So we're laboring to enter into that rest. But right now, it's not that time. Right now, we still have to go through our burdens. We still have to bear our cross. At any given time, you can get that phone call, giving you bad news, man. You can get a phone call, Lord forbid. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai forbid. happen. Any of us can get a phone call saying such and such done passed away, such and such done got murdered, such and such this, such and such that. You know, here on earth, it's nothing for bad news to just creep up at any given moment, man. A bunch of sorrow can fall upon you out of nowhere because this is not our rest, but we're laboring to enter into that rest. We're laboring in hopes to have the reward given to us, to receive the kingdom of heaven. Let us labor, therefore, to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. And that's the importance of staying busy. Because not staying busy, you end up falling away. You become an unbeliever, like most people are. Okay, but if we hold on and we endure, our works are going to follow us. And we're going to receive a glorious kingdom. This is Revelations chapter 14 and verse 13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. So even if some of us have to die being in this ministry, our works are not going to be in vain. As long as we endure until the end, whether the end means you come out here and do this work until the Lord takes your spirit back, or you come out here and do this work until the famine of the word comes, and then you still have to hold on to your faith until you're delivered. So whether you die before Yahweh's return, or whether you live to see his return, you doing this work and endure until the end, your labors are going to follow you. You're laboring to enter into that rest. You're laboring for your reward to be given to you. You're laboring so that your works that you're doing may follow you forever and ever. Okay? And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead, which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. So our works are going to follow us even into the next life, so be that we endure and not fall out. Okay? Because our works are not in vain. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So our labor is not in vain, so be that we endure. If we endure, our works are going to follow us forever and ever. But if we fall out, then all of our works, all of our labor that we've ever done is going to be in vain. It's going to be invalid. That's why we have to endure. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So we're not doing this for nothing. Our works are not empty. So be that we're telling the truth. So be that our spirit is right. Okay? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 6. In verse 10, for the power is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed toward his name, in that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. So the Lord is not going to forget our works and our labor of love. So be that we don't stop doing this work. Because many have come into this ministry, and then what happened? They stopped doing the work. Now all of their works that they've ever done serving the Lord are literally in vain. All their works have been burned away. The only way your works are going to follow you is if you hold on and endure until the very end. For the power is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed toward his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. So we're looking forward to the kingdom. Our works is not going to be in vain. So be that we don't fall out. But for all the men who have came into this ministry and they dropped the plow, it's not looking good for them. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 18. Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 24. But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. So all of your works are going to be in vain if you start doing this work and then you turn back. All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them shall he die. So you can't be out here doing the work, trying to tell people to turn away just to be a castaway yourself, and then you really believe that all your works that you've done are going to be remembered? Absolutely not. That's like it done to you investing in a nice home. You fill up your home with a bunch of things just for a fire to come and consume everything away. And then on top of that, you didn't even have insurance, man. That's likened unto a man who comes into this ministry and falls away. All of his works are going to be burned away right along with it. So seeing that the kingdom of heaven is ahead of us, we should be in the mentality of enduring and having our minds set on the kingdom of heaven, because that's what Yahweh Shai did. Now when you go to Hebrews 12 and verse 1, as it is written, wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. So we are in a race, but this race requires patience. This isn't about who's the quickest and who can get to the finish line first. This is about who can make it to the finish line. Okay? Looking unto Yahweh Shai, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of the power. So Yahweh Shai, who is the finisher of our faith, he despised the hell that he was catching, but he had his mind focused on the kingdom, and that's how he was able to endure. And likewise, that's how we have to be. We have to have our mind set and focused on the reward, focused on the kingdom of heaven. Because when the Lord comes, is he going to find faith upon the earth? Through his elect, absolutely. All right? Looking unto Yahweh Shai, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. So he endured the cross. And that includes all the afflictions he had to endure going up to being hung on that cross. Despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of the power. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against themselves, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. So when you feel like you can't take anymore, you feel like you about to fall out, you have to consider Yahweh Shai. He didn't feel good going through all the hell he caught. The Heavenly Father didn't bless him with the feeling of immunity to pain or the feeling of immunity to scoffers and scorners. He felt everything that we feel in the flesh, but he endured it. And we have to be in that same mentality to endure all the hell, so that we can receive the reward, so that we can receive the promise that's promised to the saints. Okay? And just as he endured, we have to follow behind him, because the servant is not greater than his master. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners. And we suffer the contradiction of sinners, man. All these people in opposition of us, all these gainsayers. Okay? For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your mind. So remember, Yahweh Shai went through it also. And Yahweh Shai is sitting on the throne right now. He's good. So if we endure just like him, we're going to be sitting on thrones. We're going to be good also. It's just a matter of waiting, being patient, because the day is going to come. But just as Yahweh Shai was persuaded, that's the spirit we should be in. Because the kingdom is very close, man. Okay? This is the book of Romans, chapter 14 and verse 5. One man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. So you have to be fully persuaded in your own mind, because Yahawashi was. He endured all the contradiction, but his mind was focused on the kingdom. He endured all the pain and all the hell that came with, you know, the down pressing of the flesh, but he endured it. And through him, we'll be able to do the same thing. We'll be able to conquer just like he did. Okay? One man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. So we have to be fully persuaded. Okay? If you're not persuaded, then you need to pray. Now, what does it mean to be persuaded? You have to be convinced. If you're not convinced that what we're telling you is the truth, if you're not convinced that you are a partaker of the truth, if you are not convinced that Yahawashi is the truth, that he's the door, if you're not convinced that the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, is the Ancient of Days, the King of Terrors, then you better get to praying and fasting. And if those don't work, then it's just not for you. Okay? But we have to be convinced, man, because salvation is nearer than what we know. And seeing that I'm in Revelations 13, let's go to Revelations chapter 13 and 11, as it is written. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. So our salvation is very close. And when our salvation comes, we're going to be taken up into a chariot. And then as that's happening, destruction is going to take place here and in other various parts of the earth. But the elect are going to be in a chariot ascending over Babylon, watching the nuclear destruction on a ship. Okay? They're going to see the lake of fire happen while being in the presence of the Lamb. Okay? Let's go to the book of Revelations. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 15 and verse 2. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. Now, what I believe this means we're going to be on a chariot with sapphire floors. And it's going to be transparent sapphire to where we'll be able to see the nuclear destruction through the floor of a chariot. Okay? And seeing that sapphire is blue, it's going to almost look like you're walking on water. So it's going to be referenced as a sea of glass, because a sapphire stone or a sapphire crystal, it looks like glass, man. Okay? And it looks like a sea of glass because it's blue, for one. And if you were in the air, water looks blue from certain, I guess, aerodynamic, I don't know what you would call it. But from certain views, water looks blue, right? But it's going to be the sea of glass because we're going to see the lake of fire through the floor of a chariot. It's going to look like fire mingled with glass. Now, brothers will say it's us standing above the firmament, and I'm not going to say that that's not true. But my belief is the windows of heaven represents the firmament. The firmament's going to be open. So if the windows are going to be open, how are we going to be standing over the firmament if the firmament's going to be opened up? Okay? And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, and stand on the sea of glass, having no harps of the power. So we're going to stand on the sea of glass. So how are we going to stand on the firmament if we're in a chariot? We're standing on the sea of glass because we're going to be in a chariot standing on sapphire floors, man. Okay? Now let's go to Revelations chapter 4 and 6. And before the throne, speaking of a chariot, there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, speaking of sapphire floor. And sapphire could be labeled a crystal, but it's more strong than a crystal because of its iron element. Sapphire is a very, very strong rock, okay? And before the throne, there was a sea of glass like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were four beasts full of eyes before and behind. And those eyes represent lights, okay? So that sea of glass is going to represent the elect standing on sapphire floors, man, okay? Now, when you go all the way back to the book of Exodus, chapter 24, and verse 9, then went up where? Into a chariot. Then went up Moses and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders. Okay? So that's 74 people were taken up into a chariot, and this is what they saw. And they saw the power of Israel, and there was under his feet being the floor. Okay? So he's in a chariot, and on the floor of this chariot, this is what you see. And under his feet, as it were, paved work of a sapphire stone, as it were the body of heaven in its clearness. So in this chariot had sapphire floors, man. Okay? So in the kingdom, when we're taken up into a chariot, we're going to see that this chariot has sapphire floors. And this is my faith. This is what I believe. Okay? And they saw the power of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it were, paved work of a sapphire stone. And that's that sea of glass. And it's going to be mingled with fire, because the nuclear destruction is going to take place as we're looking through the floor of the chariot, through the sapphire floor. And as it were, the body of heaven in its clearness. All right? So that sea of glass is going into the chariots, man. Okay? Let me see if I can find this other scripture. Because there's another scripture where it talks about the angels having the sapphire stone above them, as in the chariot being, the floor of the chariot was above them, because they were beneath the chariot. Okay? Let me see if I can find it though. I can't think of how it's worded. Give me 1 second. I feel like I can find it if you bear with me. I think this is it. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 1. Okay, cool. This is Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 26. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw the color of amber as the appearance of fire round about within, from the appearance of his loins even upward. And from the appearance of his loins even downward I saw, as it were, the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about it. So this is the point. It said, and above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne. So above the firmament. So when we're on them chariots, we're going to be above the firmament, not standing on the firmament. So we're literally going to be in a chariot, standing on the floor of a chariot, which is a sapphire floor. But when the angel was seen in this vision, the chariot that was above this angel had the sapphire floor above his head, man, because that's the floor of the chariot. And above the firmament that was over their head was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. Okay? And that's what I read to you about the Heavenly Father being seen and a throne with sapphire under its feet, being the floor of the chariots. So being that the sea of glass is going to be the sapphire floors, man. The sapphire stone that we're going to be standing on, looking down upon the nuclear destruction. Okay? So going back to Revelations chapter 4 and verse 6. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, because sapphire is likened unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. Okay, so again, the sea of glass is what? When we're on a chariot standing upon the sapphire floor, looking down upon the nuclear destruction. Okay? Revelation 15 and 2 again. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. So it's going to look like it's mixed with fire. Why? Because you're going to see the destruction happening through the floor of a chariot. It's going to look like the sapphire glass and the nuclear fire is mixed together, because you'll be able to see through the transparent floor. Okay? And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast. And them represents the 144,000. The beast, that goes into NATO. Okay? And over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, which is 666, stand on the sea of glass. So we're not going to stand on the firmament, seeing we're going to be above the firmament. Okay? The sea of glass that we're going to stand on is representing the sapphire floor. And I get tired of brothers ignoring my videos, man. I've said many things, and brothers will ignore it like they didn't hear it, just to keep teaching what they've been teaching instead of correcting me. Either I'm wrong or you're wrong. But a lot of you men, you're just stubborn. Okay? And there's no way that a guy out of Kansas could be given such information, or who could be given, you know, certain secrets, right? It couldn't be me, because we're not in Kansas anymore. All right? A lot of you men, y'all do a lot of respect to a person, and the Lord is going to deal with y'all. Your view count don't matter. Whether you get a lot of views or you don't, if you're not right, you're not right, man. Because a lot of you're not right. Okay? You only listen to things when it comes from certain people. Okay? Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 10. Ezekiel chapter 10 and 1. Then I looked, and behold, the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, being the angels, there appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, because they're seeing a chariot with sapphire floors hovered above them. That's the sea of glass we're going to stand on. Okay? As the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in between the wheels, being the chariots, even under the cherub, and fill thy hand with coals of fire from between the cherubs, and scattered them over the city, and he went in my sight. So the point being, there was a chariot above this angel, or above these angels, with sapphire floor. That's the sea of glass we're going to stand on. Okay? Through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So when the kingdom of heaven is established, if we're delivered, we're going to be taken up. We're going to be changed in the blink of an eye. Okay? We're going to watch the destruction happen. On top of that, you're going to have other deliverances taking place throughout the earth. And then all these elect are going to be probably gathered together that have been taken from other areas in the earth, more than likely gathered back together into one chariot, being Yahushai's chariot. We're going to be taken to Mount Zion, come down and be crowned, okay? And as we're coming down to be crowned, again, we're going to be standing on what? We're going to be standing on sapphire floors. That is the sea of glass, you rebellious, ignorant niggas, okay? But a lot of you, because an elder didn't say it, or someone from a camp didn't say it, there's no way that it can be true. A lot of you're going to find out the prophets are here. And I've already mentioned, I believe, and I'm going to say it, I believe I'm John coming back, man. Period. I believe it. I believe it with my whole heart, to where if you told me, okay, there's a bullet in this gun, and I know the answer. If you're wrong, you're going to catch this bullet. I'd be like, hey, I know I'm John, okay? I know it. I know for a fact. Because the Lord has revealed so many things to me, referencing John in my day-to-day life without me seeking for it. It's not even something that I could even make up. The odds of it happening is slim to none, okay? Too many things have happened and have been shown to me that I am somebody special, regardless of how you people deem me out there. I don't care how you deem me. Okay, a lot of you're just mad because you thought it was supposed to be you. Well, you're not John. I'll tell you that. I believe I am, okay? As they say, I'm willing to bet my life on it, man. You know, put your life on it. I'm willing to bet my life that I'm John, man. I'm willing to bet that, okay? So before I close it out, let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. So if I'm wrong, that's okay. Prove it. Just prove it. That's all you got to do. Okay? Job chapter 21 and verse 3. Suffer me that I may speak, and after that I have spoken, mock on. And this was Job speaking to his friends. Okay? So instead of trying to mock certain men because you think you have all the answers, listen to what a man has to say first. And then if you deem it as cuckoo after he mentions it, then mock on. But you're supposed to listen, then rebuke. A lot of you rebuke before you even listen. And that's going to get a lot of you cold cooked, man. Okay? Straight up. Straight like that, man. All right? Oh, I'm going to go to another scripture that I just thought about on why I don't believe we're going to be standing on the firmament, so to speak. So this is Isaiah chapter 24 and 18. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear, being the noise of the missiles and all the destruction, shall fall into the pit, being them underground bunkers. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare, being when the Lord raises us up as hunters to come and snatch you heathen up who have survived and throw you into slavery, and to slay you Israelites who may have been, you know, granted opportunity to hang out in some of these underground bunkers. For the windows from on high are open, being the firmament, and the foundations of the earth do shake. Okay, so the firmament on high is going to be open, representing the firmament. So we're not going to stand on the firmament. We're literally going to be above the firmament, just like when the angel saw the chariot, or just like when Ezekiel saw the angel was below a chariot that was above the firmament. Just like when we're on a chariot, it's going to be above the firmament. So we're not going to stand on the firmament. We're going to be above it, standing on the floor of a chariot, which is going to be likened unto a sea of glass, because it's going to be made out of sapphire stone. So with that, I pray this was simple and edifying. All praises unto our power, the power of Israel, not the power of any other nation. And seeing that I don't come in my own name, what is his name? Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Yahweh Shalom, until next time. I'm out.